Hey. Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something. Not even me. All right?
All right.
You got a dream, you got to protect it. People can't do something themselves. They want to tell you you can't do it. You want something, go get it. Period.
Welcome to Successful Dropout. This podcast is for the outliers, the innovators, the rebels, those that dare to dream and act on their dreams. I'm your host, Kylan Ginger. Join me as we find out what it takes to drop out, grind, and succeed. What is up, successful dropouts? Get stoked because today on the show we have Justin Ledford. Justin has been pushing his limits for years now by pursuing extreme sports like free diving, backcountry snowboarding, surfing monster waves, and much more. He's a serial entrepreneur living life to the fullest, and he teaches entrepreneurs, high achievers, and salespeople how to write, market, and publish their first book in 90 days around their full-time job, even if they suck at writing and have no ideas. He loves helping people create passive income, and he's built multiple million-dollar businesses. So, Justin, that's the intro I have for you, man. But tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
For sure. Thanks for having me, Kylan. I totally appreciate it, dude. I am 29 now. It's crazy. Time flies. And I was 18 once, and I was in college, and I basically was selling knives, Cutco knives. Not sure if you've ever heard of them before.
Oh, dude, yeah. My mom, those salespeople used to come to my mom's house all the time, and I'd watch them cut pennies in half and stuff.
Yeah, man. Cut pennies, rope, leather. And, you know, I was selling Cutco, and there was mentors in the business that were doing really good, you know, bringing home $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 checks every week. And I realized at a young age that, you know, the sky's the limit. We can make whatever we want to make as long as we follow a leader who's already done what we want to do, and then do what they did by learning what they learned. So I was able to drop out. I'm thankful. I'm grateful that I dropped out because, you know, I never would be where I'm at today. I'd probably still be working a 9 to 5 every morning, stuck in traffic for an hour or two, and just my fist cringed onto the steering wheel, you know, white knuckles. And I'm glad that I don't have to do with that. I literally work on my own terms, do whatever I want. I mean, tomorrow I'm going snowboarding for a week in Banff, Colorado.
And you're from Dallas, Texas, right?
I'm actually from Houston, Texas, close.
Oh, from Houston, okay.
And yeah, man, I've been a top salesperson in Cutco for over 10 years now. And basically, wow. I started my own construction company, and that's done extremely well. Storm restoration. And I also have a book business, basically, where I teach people how to write books, just so people can create passive income in their life. You know, life is short, man. We got to do what we love. Like, we got to go against the grain. You know, people who follow a path, like if everybody's heading one direction, I try to head the opposite direction.
Yeah. So you're doing business with Cutco. You've got this kind of publishing school, and then what was the other thing you mentioned? Oh, the construction company as well. So these are kind of the three businesses you've got going on?
Absolutely. I've been, you know, like the Cutco is something I still do for fun. It's like it's a 5 to 7 month part-time kind of thing, and I make six figures a year. I mean, people like
just
Neil
doing that.
Yeah, just part-time. Every weekend I do big shows. Zig Ziglar, Neil Armstrong, the owner of Chili's, Hal Elrod, tons of, you know, Kanye West, like tons of successful people sold Cutco when they were
Kanye West? I didn't know that.
Yeah, right. I know. Abraham Lincoln sold Cutco. Bill Gates even sold Cutco. You know, and I've been doing it for a long time, and, you know, I make good money with that. And I realized, like, I was in accounting and I was in English. I had all my basics done except those 2 classes. And my last semester, I failed English and accounting. I sucked at those classes. And then I went back the following year just for those 2 classes, and I failed them again. And I was like, and I really tried. Like I really, I poured in my effort. I studied. It took me forever to write papers, and I just couldn't figure out the whole debit and credit thing. And I realized, at that moment, man, what am I doing? Like these professors are great people. They love what they do, but they have to show up and stay in an office for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
Where here I am working 6 months out of the year and making six figures, in some cases twice as much as the professors. And I realized at that moment, like, all right, I'm done with this. And I was scared. Like I really was scared. My family, they thought I was crazy. My friends thought I was crazy. Their reaction was priceless. They were like, you're going to have to work, an hourly job, flipping, doing this and doing that. And my advice to your audience is, if you have a passion, if you're doing something you love and you're making good money with it, and you're considering, getting out of college, do it. Like, your heart leads the way. I mean, if your college is already paid for, you should definitely stay in college. But if you are taking out massive loans, 20 grand, 50, 100 grand, like most American college students are, then that's like the worst thing to be in, getting in debt right when you get out of college and then taking 10 years to pay that off. And it's going to be more than that because of the interest. So I was glad that I did. The biggest fear that I had was that I wouldn't be a success, but I knew that others before me were having success. And as long as I followed somebody who was having that success, I could do what I wanted in life.
I see. And so when you decided to drop out, you were already making money with the Cutco business, correct?
Yep.
And then what came next? Was it authoring a book and starting to write, or the construction company?
Well, I mean, writing a book is something I've always wanted to do. My friend Hal Elrod, he owns the Achieve Your Goals podcast. And he's like one of the best-selling authors in all of Amazon.
Yeah, he wrote the book Miracle Morning. Is that him?
The Miracle Morning.
Yeah, that was great. I loved it.
And I watched him do that. Like I was by his side when we were selling Cutco together, and he said, I'm going to write this book.
No
and
way.
I was there. Yeah, I was there when it happened. And I was like, man, I want to write a book. And I was reading books, and I realized like all these big name people, how did they get their start? They started by writing a book. And like literally, I kept finding myself in books, reading and reading. And all the big names had a book. So I was like, you know what? The last couple of years, I said, I'm going to do it. I studied tons of people and how they did it. And I basically did it within 90 days. And it's just doing amazing. Like the type of money it's making and the lifestyle it's given me and my wife. It's just awesome, man. So yeah, I was selling Cutco. And then for the first 5-6 years, I started a network marketing business, and I still do that on the side. Does really well, and started a roofing company. And I invested like $80,000 to start the roofing company.
Wow.
It cost a lot of money, licensing and contracting and, building roofs and waiting for the insurance to pay. But we do really well with that. And then I don't know if you want me to tell you about the thing that changed my life, but
yeah, you can't say that and then just not tell us about it.
Right. So every year we go on a vacation at the end of the year, and, we go through the market. My wife likes to, shop and window shop and stuff. And the people are trying to sell me, and I'm not like, I don't care for stuff. I'm like a minimalist. Mm-hmm. But I felt their struggle. Like I felt that they were trying to make a living. And I realized, man, that's me back home. I go to work every day. I might make 10, 15, 20, 30K in a month, but then I got to go do it all over again. Yeah. Every single month. And it's just like those salespeople. And I realized, man, I need to create passive income. So that was, so many pieces of the puzzle, but I started learning how people started writing their books. And yeah, man, it's just taken off. Like I've helped a lot of people, and it's been a total blessing.
And so that was the book, Visions to the Top?
Mm-hmm. Visions to the Top. I've always had like a passion about meditation and visualization. And because like some of the top athletes, celebrities, Olympic athletes, they literally do visualization. Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer.
Yeah.
he does visualization every night and every morning. So does Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jim Carrey, and so many other people.
Totally.
So I started studying that for the last like 10 years, and I said, you know what, I could throw a little book together about that stuff. 2.5 weeks later, even though I sucked at writing, I had like, less than 100-page book and threw it on the internet. And before I knew it, it was passing a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Really? That's
Seriously.
incredible.
Yeah, no, dude. It was the #1 best-selling book in my category, and Think and Grow Rich was right below me. And
Wow.
people were reviewing it. Somebody random, I don't even know, said, this is the Think and Grow Rich for our generation. And I was like, oh my God, this is legit. The first couple months, the book made $1,502, then over $2,200, and then another like $1,500. The first 5 months, over $5,000, and every month after that, since then, for the last year, it's been enough money to pay all my bills.
Wow.
And I did the work once,
Yeah.
and it's still paying me every month. It was awesome, dude.
So to write that book, you mentioned you sucked at writing and stuff. Did you have any coaching while you were writing it, or even after the fact to edit it and stuff like that? Or?
Yeah. So like, in terms of like writing, I realized like you don't have to be a good writer as long as you can get your ideas on paper. And I teach like this method. It's the 3 Pro Step method in my program, Self Publishing Pro. Basically, you don't have to be a good writer, dude. Like, if you know how to put your ideas on paper, we do a mind map, then an outline. I literally click on a button in Google Drive. And it's called Tools, and then Voice Typing, and it types the words for me. So I just read one sentence out loud to my computer, and it types it for me. Wow. And then I read the next sentence on my outline, and it types it for me. I do all the way down, through my outline. And then I go back to the first sentence and just elaborate on that first sentence like I'm talking to my homeboy. And, on that first sentence, you get 500 words on that first sentence.
Yeah.
And then you go down to the second sentence, do it again. Before you know it, 2.5 weeks later, I had a book. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I studied for over 5 years. I followed self-publishing authors like Tim Ferriss, Hal Elrod, James Altucher, Honoré Corridor, and I even bought some of the different courses online. And I said, man, the programs out there are crazy expensive. And I was like, you know what? The reason my program's doing so well is because it's affordable cost for people. And I want everybody to write a book and do what it did for me.
So where can people find that?
Well, I have a free training, basically. Like, it teaches people how to go from no idea to finding an idea. The website's selfpublishingpro.com/free training.
Okay.
And we'll link that up.
Yep.
Because there's a dash in between the self and the publishing. Somebody stole that website in advance. But I teach people how to find an idea that's actually making money based off of analytics, and how to write 30 minutes a day. In 90 days, have a best-selling book.
It's incredible. Yeah, it sounds like you've come up with a pretty efficient system for that. Really quick, for people listening, why should somebody write a book? What are the benefits there?
So, like, let's say you're 18 to 25 years of age, and you're on this journey of, you're thinking about dropping out of college, or maybe you're in college, you like this podcast, but you're like, I don't know. So let's say you're like, why should I write a book? If you write a book, what it does, I'll tell you 4 reasons. But the first reason is it makes yourself an authority or an expert on any subject that you choose. When you write a book, you immediately become like the bomb.com. Like, people are like, what? You wrote a book? And there's a software on the internet that I hook my group up with that you can search any word. Like, if you like, if you like working out, or if you like juicing, or if you like, speaking Spanish, you can type in any keyword and it'll show you how much money you can make for that keyword.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really awesome software. So, like, number 1, to become an authority, to become an expert on a subject. Number 2, it makes you feel good. Like you literally feel amazing when you have a book. It transformed my life and it's transformed all the people's lives that I work with. Number three, it just, the passive income. Passive income is something that people dream about. You know, having money come into your bank account every month. And there's nothing better than every single month having $1,000 or $2,000 deposited in your bank account. Number four, it opens up doors for you. If you have a book, you can literally talk to anyone. That's how I met you. I sent you an email and I said, hey, dude, I'm an author and my book's doing awesome. We should talk.
The first thing I did was go to Amazon and look up your book too.
Right. And you know, that's what I did. And I've done it with a bunch of different podcasters and Forbes and Huffington Post. And it's been awesome, dude. Everybody should write a book if, you know, they want passive income, if they want confidence, if they want to make money, and if they want to be their own boss eventually. That's what a book can do.
Phenomenal. So if any of you guys listening are interested in that, head to successfuldropout.com and we'll have the show notes posted on Justin's episode here. But Justin, I'm curious to hear, just give us kind of a quick overview about the construction company and what that's all about. I'm personally interested because I used to own a painting company that I sold about 14 months ago. And so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, selling a business, that's like the best type of business to have.
Oh, tell me about it.
For the construction. So Cutco taught me how to sell. Yeah. They also taught me how to recruit people from Craigslist, or, you know, they taught me how to just, hey, post a job. Hey, you need a job, call this number. So what I did is I got an office. Actually, I did it out of my garage first starting. Yeah. And I put ads on Craigslist, hey, need a job, sales position available. And we then talked to people, and the ones we felt comfortable, we brought into our garage and we did a training. And then whenever there's a storm, like hail or wind, the homeowner has insurance. And we teach those people to go knock on their door. We give them a script and we teach them what to say. And they basically show the homeowner that there's damage from the wind or from the hail. And then basically, long story short, the insurance pays for that roof. So like a $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 roof paid for by the insurance. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, we've been doing every year over $1 million in business for the last like 7 years. And yeah, every year it gets higher and higher in numbers. It's just awesome, dude. I mean, the reason I think construction and specifically storm restoration is a good business, whether you're thinking about owning a business or thinking about being in sales. So if you want to be in sales, storm restoration is awesome. Yeah. Because most people have insurance and their insurance will pay for it. If you want to be a business owner, it's a great business because you make over 20% per deal. Mm-hmm.
So now you've got, so between the three businesses, I'm curious, how do you kind of have a work-life balance and manage your time? Because we hear about, I talk a lot about the acronym for FOCUS, follow one course until success. And there's always that struggle. I have multiple businesses. There's always that struggle between, work-life balance and being able to focus enough time, even if it's just for a season, on one thing to really make it successful or even self-running. So what's your process for that?
Yeah, man. My process is people, process, and systems. Just like Marcus Simone on that cool show. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, but something Profit or something.
Yeah, The
like
Profit.
That? The Profit, yeah.
Yeah, what you do is you start a business, and in the beginning it's a bunch of grunt work. You do all the work basically. But then once you start making a little money, you put in an hourly person and you train them how to take over your 80% of your responsibilities. And then from there you make systems and processes. So when this happens, this should happen. When this happens, this should happen. Mm-hmm. And I'm the type of person, focus, follow one course until successful. I agree with that. But I'm like so ADHD or whatever it is, where like I like to focus on something, go hard on it for a little bit, and then I get bored of it and I want to go do something else. And that's why I have multiple businesses. And I think it's better to work hard so we can play hard. And I love that, man.
Yeah, I like it too. I mean, because that's always been, I hear that a lot. And we had, one of our in the first 10 guests or so, was a guy named Michael Fisk, and for him, it was such a powerful thing he was just like that. He wanted to do multiple things, and it was so powerful when he decided to just focus on one business for a year, and he turned down all these other opportunities, and that really worked well for him. Then I get people like you on the show, and honestly myself too, who through the processes and the people, the systems, and focusing on something for a certain season, even if that's a few weeks or like 6 months, where we're able to do multiple things successfully. And so that's just something, if you're listening, you might need to do a little introspection and figure out what you're best at. I have other friends who have multiple businesses. I have other friends who've been doing the same thing for 10 years, and they're massively successful at that one thing. So,
yeah, like you said, seasons. There are seasons and everything. Like it gets hot outside with the summer here in Texas, and you have the spring and the new blossom of trees, and then you have the winter of things withering away. It's the same in business, man. There's a certain time when you can go sell roofs when their storms are going hardcore. There's a certain time when people are buying knives like crazy. The holidays, and writing books is just, it's a great business. Like everybody buys, literally there's 6-7 billion people on their planet right now. And over 3.5 of those billion people have access to Amazon. Next time you go to Starbucks or get on a plane, or you're go check those two out. You'll see people reading these little electronic devices called Kindle and Kobo and all that. And dude, people are reading books. The books aren't going anywhere. They're just becoming electronic devices.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. Like having people in India and China and Japan and Australia buy your stuff every night. When you wake up, you're like, what? I made $50.
Yeah, no kidding. I have a small Amazon FBA kind of business that generates like maybe a couple $100 a week for me. Are you familiar with fulfillment by Amazon at all?
That is so cool, dude. I've actually been meditating on that, so we're gonna have to have a conversation about that in a little bit.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, we should. There's a lot of good, a lot of bad to it. And again, it's only a couple $100 a week, but it's still cool for work I did probably like 3 months ago now, to just have that kind of coming into your bank account every week, and it pays like one bill, but
right. With the people here listening, a lot of times people have to find a job to appease their parents, or they're making decent money. I think if you have personality, the word is called ambivert. Introvert. Yeah, introvert is somebody who's like shy. Extrovert is somebody who's like super outgoing. An ambivert is somebody who likes to stay shy. Like I'm honestly very shy, but when I have to turn on my switch to close deals and to persuade, then that's what an ambivert is. And I think sales is where it's at, honestly. Because we're always selling ourselves, whether we realize it or not. We're telling our manager why we deserve a raise. We're convincing our partner, why they should go on a date with us. We're always selling ourselves. Yeah. And as long as we know how to step into that moment, there's a man named John Vroman. He started Front Row Factor. He's got an amazing podcast. And, you want to live front row. You want to be that person who people come to. And how you do that, there's many ways to do that. But have you ever heard of power posing?
I haven't, no.
So whenever you stand, put your hands on your hips or put your hands on the table. What happens, don't put your hands on your face or cross your arms, because when you stand in a power pose, your brain releases testosterone and it gets rid of cortisol. So men and women out there listening, stand in a power pose. Check it out on YouTube. Type in power pose TED Talks. And this psychologist hooked up sensors to people's brains, and they realized when you're standing in a power pose, you feel more confident. You're easier to persuade people. And whenever you're in a weak pose, your brain floods your system with cortisol, which is really bad. It makes you nervous. It makes you feel weak. So I always recommend people stand in power poses to check out that TED Talks I was talking about.
That's interesting. I think there's a lot of truth to that. I don't know how familiar you are with Tony Robbins, but I remember he talks about just taking a pose where you spread your arms wide and breathe deep, as just a way to kind of physiologically, activate the nervous system and the brain. And I love that, man. Have you read the book Pitch Anything? Are you familiar with that at all?
I haven't. I've heard of it, and I've actually listened to like reviews and stuff on it, but no, I've never read it.
Yeah, it's kind of similar. It's less about physical stance and stuff, and more the way that you frame things when you're trying to pitch or sell ideas to people. And so, for instance, one of these things is he calls it's called the prize frame, and it's when you're approaching somebody trying to sell them on an idea, for instance, setting yourself up as the prize. A lot of the times we're really tempted. Even I use this to get people on my show in the very beginning. Some of these some of these big names. It's really tempting to approach them and come at it from like, will you please be on my show? Like, I'm just starting. You'd really help, boost my downloads and stuff like that. Versus coming at it from, I'm the prize. You should want to be on my show because I am confident in myself. I'm confident in what I have to offer, and it's going to be awesome. And so even just switching words around, like, I would love to consider you for my podcast, made such a huge difference for me, and just the way people responded back. And that's what initially got a couple people on the show. But it's just fascinating stuff, man.
I'm actually taking notes because I totally agree. In sales, you learn psychological tricks and hacks. And can you please do this? Will you do that? You sound like a little dog with a tail between your leg. Not you, but in general. Whereas if you come at somebody like, hey, if I would you, hey, if I were to ... would you ... I do the if I would you like all the time. And it says, hey, I have this, and if I were to do this, would you be open? And people are receptive to that. So I want your audience to try that with, their friends, their family. Hey, instead of can I please go, or would it be okay if you don't do that. Say, hey, if I were to do ... would you ...
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'll have to give that a shot. What do you think, staying on this topic of sales, because I think it's really fascinating, what do you think the difference is? It seems like there's a fine line between somebody knowing that you're, like, I hate being sold to, honestly, and the people that are just really kind of in your face, and they're pushing something on you, versus somebody where you get the feeling that they're just there to provide value. It's much more genuine, and there seems to be a fine line there. Do you have anything to speak to that?
Yeah, for people who are like in sales or thinking about sales, really you just got to find something that you're passionate about. You have to find something that you think is awesome, that's good for the earth, that's good for people. And whenever you have that, you come from a place of authenticity and you come from a place of caring and serving. It's not about just making, the sale. And, I believe 100% that nobody likes being sold to. Like if you go into a store, like in the mall, the first thing, what happens? The person says, hey, can I help you? And what do you immediately say? No, I'm just looking. And I'm good. I'm cool. Thanks. Appreciate it. And then what happens is after a few minutes, you're like, hey, where are the shoes at? Or you try to find them yourself.
Totally.
And what happens is like whenever you can tell people who are just out to get, the sale, and people who are serious, who want to impact and give you the service that they need. So I've been fortunate, like Cutco is an awesome product and it sells itself. So I don't really have, I don't really have to like try to sell it. I just hang out with people and become your friend. Like if somebody is asking questions and, you can tell that they want to get to know you and they want to be your friend and they're trying to help solve some issues in your life, then that's somebody you want to do business with. Whereas somebody who's just like, like playing like a shark, then you got to watch out for that stuff.
Yeah, no kidding, man. I get a lot of telemarketing calls sometimes, and some of the people you'll talk to, it's intense.
Right.
Out of curiosity, what's your opinion on Ty Lopez, if you have one?
Ty Lopez, I think I don't really know the guy. I've never met him, but I see him all over the internet.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think he's a brilliant marketer. I don't know anything about him except that he's all over the internet. And in business, like if you're in sales or you own your own business, you kind of have to be a good marketer. So on that stance, he's a great marketer. I don't know his morals. I don't know his values, his faith, any of that stuff. But I know that he's a good marketer. And I do know a couple people that have actually bought his programs and, you know, had success. I also know people who've bought his programs and didn't have success. But the bottom line is, if you want success in this life, you have to go get it.
Yeah.
You can't just buy something and expect you to become successful. You have to follow a proven path, and you have to take action daily, 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, until you become successful. So as far as like Tai Lopez goes, I think he's a brilliant marketer.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything else besides that about him.
Yeah, I guess I tend to agree. There's a lot of people that I respect that either love him or hate him, and I'm kind of Switzerland right now, so just wanted to ask you that. But moving on here, we got about 15 minutes. What would you consider to be your worst entrepreneurial moment to date? Tell us that story.
Man, so I made a lot of money. I made over $1 million selling Cutco. And I had some money to invest, and I started watching those HGTV flipping houses shows.
Yeah.
And I thought I could do it. You know, I'm a pro. I'm successful at whatever I do. And I bought a couple houses, fixed them up, flipped them, you know, made a little bit of money, did it again, and made a little money. But then I got a little over my head, and I got two houses at once, like a $300,000+ and almost a $300,000 house. So about $600,000 worth of houses. And the market tanked, and I didn't know what to do because I was doing it all myself. I had no mentor. I had nobody I could call and ask. I didn't have any books I was reading. I was just doing based off what I saw on hype and TV and stuff. And it hurts just telling this story, man. I remember like painting late into the night because there's realtors coming the next day, and like sheetrock fell through from the water that busted in the attic, and I'm having to clean up the wood floors and paint the walls and get paint off the windows, and like and then losing at the end of it all with those two houses, I lost over $100,000.
Wow.
And that was like one of the worst entrepreneur moments in my life, and that was a light bulb moment for me. That was the moment like that I reflected, and I was reading a book. I think it was Think and Grow Rich it was Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And I was looking in my backyard. I was looking at a lake. I have a little pond in my backyard, and I was thinking to myself, man, these people in these books are just doing great. Like, it seems like they know what they're talking about. And every time I felt hardship, I'd always read a book. And I realized, you know what? I learned from Tony Robbins. I've been through some seriously awesome courses from him. And I learned that people are most happy when they're living in contribution and personal growth. Yeah. Right? So I realized, you know what? I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to take my focus off me and making money and just focus on giving bad to the bone content away about what I've learned in visualization. And that's when I wrote my book, and it just took off, dude. And that's why I started this book, you know, stuff like teaching people how to write books. Cause I'll tell you, one day I was coming home from work, and I've only told this story once, and it was crazy, dude. I got out of my car, and there's a red Eclipse that stopped behind my car. Two kids jumped out of the car, one with a bandana on, and he had a gun in his hand, and he comes walking towards me real fast, screaming, "Give me your money. Give me everything you got." And I'm running to my front door. This happened, dude. Like, this happened in my front yard. And I live in a decently nice place. But I found out 1 out of 66 people in Houston get held at gunpoint.
Okay. So you were that lucky one.
Right? Oh, and I'm at my front door, and I'm screaming. This guy's 5 feet away with a gun pointed at my chest, and he's screaming, "Give me your money." And my hands are up in the air, and I'm just saying, "God help me, God help me." And I'm screaming as loud as I can. I just kept saying that over and over. "God help me." I'm kicking on my door with my back left foot, trying to, get somebody to open the door. And the guy ran off. And I realized like I was in shock for days. Like I didn't go to work. I stayed in my house. I then went to the gun range a few days later.
Yeah, right.
And like, and I realized, man, like I could have been taken like right then and there. And up until this moment, all I did was make money and, sharpen people's knives and teach people how to sell roofs. And, that's pretty honorable, teaching people how to make a livelihood and stuff and giving people sharp knives. But I realized that I wasn't making an impact. And my life could have ended right there. And that's when I like really got serious and spent almost a year creating Self-Publishing Pro. And I poured my heart into it. Like I literally teach people everything. And now like I feel more fulfilled than I've ever felt.
Yeah.
Because the people that go through it, they're coming out as best-selling authors, and their lives are transforming, and it's been awesome, man.
Dude, I love that, and I love that you told that story. Thank you for that. Because I talk about this. I've talked about it a few times, and I always apologize beforehand because I'm like, oh, this may be morbid to some people, but for a while there. And I just got a new phone, so I need to put it back. But I replaced my email app with an app that does like a life countdown. It tells you basically how many days you have left to live based on the information you've entered and stuff like that. And that's just I know it's morbid, but it's a great way to motivate yourself because at the end of your life, you do not want to look back. At least I don't, and realize you didn't contribute to the world. You didn't leave a legacy. And you don't have to be, Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates, but when you look at the people that you've had an impact on, what's the ripple effect? Because you said something or did something with this person, what did they then and go do? And it reminds me of this, I don't know if you listen to Gary Vaynerchuk at all. I'm not his biggest fan, but there's a short little clip on YouTube where he's in the back of a limousine and this lady comes up and she knocks on the window. He rolls it down a bit and she's like, motivate me. And he just looks at her and he says, you're gonna die. And then he rolls up the window and they drive off. And it's just like, there's so much truth to that, man. So thanks for telling that story, Justin. And now kind of moving on to the lightning round here. What's a personal habit that contributes to the success you've achieved so far?
Every single day, I have a piece of paper and a pencil, and I write down everything I have to do. It's one of the first things I do. I write down every task I have to do. And after I read my Holy Scripture and I do my visualization and meditation and my workout, I attack that task. And right when I attack it, I cross it out. And my brain releases dopamine. It's a real dopamine, not fake from drugs and false pleasures. Your brain releases dopamine when you cross out a task on your to-do list. So every single day, I make a list and I cross them out as I go. And I do the hardest task first.
I love it, man. Do you get 8 hours of sleep?
7 to 8 hours, sometimes 6. But every morning I do my visualization, and there's a lot of studies and meditation that prove that it kind of puts you in a state of REM if you know how to get into your active REM states. I teach that in my book, how to get into like super deep states of beta thinking.
Okay, sweet. I'm interested in that, man. I'm gonna have to pick up your book here.
For sure.
How much Netflix do you watch?
Okay, I binge. Like sometimes I won't watch it for 6-7 months, and then I'll watch a show for 3 hours one night, 3 hours the next night, 3 hours next night, and then I won't pick up my TV for another 6-7 months because I realize it's a waste of my life. And it's fun at the moment, but I've got such big goals. I got a baby coming, and I've got so many people that I want to help. Thanks, bro. I have so many people I want to help, and I can't do that by just chilling out.
Yeah, I love it. It goes back to the seasons thing, man. What parting advice do you have for any of our listeners who are thinking of dropping out of college to do more of the entrepreneurial thing, but they haven't quite made that step yet? Just some parting advice there.
I would say, if you have a job that helps, because you don't want to drop out of college and then your parents be pissed off at you and then you have to go find a job. I would say, find something that you love to do and build an audience, however you can do it, whether it's, being in sales or working as a barista. People will come just to see you, remember their names, Or if you want to write a book, that's a phenomenal way to build an audience. Start a podcast.
Yeah.
Building an audience, people of tribe that love you, that will do what you say to do. That's one of my biggest pieces of advice. And I wish somebody would have told that to me when I was younger.
What parting advice do you have for any of our listeners who've already dropped out and they're already on their entrepreneurial journey?
I would say, man, take care of your health. Like, do your workout. Start some kind of side business, whether it be in a network marketing company or something that you can sell on the weekends. Start something on the side that will allow you to make profits, because there's two people in life. You can make wages or you can make profits. Wages will never get you ahead in life. If you're making $8, $10, $15 an hour, you'll never get ahead in life. Where if you make $100 or $500 or $1,000 off something you sell, that's how you get ahead in life.
Love it, man. So what's the best way that people can connect with you?
For sure, man. They can find me on, we'll link it on your page, Justin Ledford on Facebook. That's where I'm mostly at. I have a Twitter, but somebody stole my name, so it's like Just Ledford.
Shoot.
He's a rapper. He stole my name. It's all good. And then, of course, like my true passion is I'll give your audience a 4 free training video series, and it basically will teach them how to write a book. It's at self-publishingpro.com/free training. And that's what I'm like totally focused on and passion is helping people write a best-selling book within 90 days around their full-time schedules, even if they suck at writing and have no ideas.
Dude, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that.
For sure.
Well, Successful Dropouts, you've been hanging out with Justin and Kylan, learning what it takes to drop out, grind, and succeed. For everything we talked about today, head over to successfuldropout.com and type Justin into the search bar, and the show notes will pop right up with all those links. And as always, stay hungry, stay foolish. Successful Dropouts, the best part for me about doing this podcast is actually not talking to the amazing guests I have on the show, but it's talking to you guys and hearing your story, where you're at, and how I can help. And so please get in touch with me. Find me on Facebook, follow me on Snapchat, hit me up on Instagram, send me emails. I always try to respond as quick as possible. You can find me at Kylan Ginger almost everywhere. And for my email, it's kylanginger@gmail.com. Again, that's just my first and last name, KYLONGIENGER. It's unique, so you should have no problem finding me, but get in touch.